Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are all doing well, and today, guys, we're back with the High Elf vs. Dark Elf showdown. It is going to be ELTHARION the Grim facing off against Morathi. Certainly a rare sighting. We do also have some Narnia lines as well, so you guys are certainly in for a treat. Now, this was on the quick battle system. As such, it's going to be a very, very unfair map. Basically, it's one of those maps that kind of forces both armies into a choke, but I mean, honestly, as far as our armies go, the Dark Elves, if anything, might actually enjoy this choke to an extent because it does kind of deny me the flank pressure. So, for example, if I'm like trying to flank over here and the army's like positioned right in this valley right here, I might not be able to get into the archers as easily. But on that same note, it also does allow me to know that he pretty much has to go through here. I can evade missile fire by going around from the dark shards, all sorts of good stuff. But yeah, maps like this can get a little bit hog wild. So, for example, if you're playing Skaven, you could like deploy your Skaven slaves here with your council guard. You could put your mortars behind this rock. It denies this entire angle of fire. So if your opponent has cannons, they can't even return fire. There's a couple haggard maps like this on multiplayer, but not, it's still fun to try them every now and then. It does give a little bit of spice because I do admit that I think it can get a little bit stale with the same maps like Oakenhammer and all those just over and over. It can be a little bit boring. So, it adds a little bit of a variety, the spice of life, as they say. Now, ELTHARION the Grim against the Dark Elves. Let's go ahead and talk about this bad boy. Firstly, he's got a pretty badass bird he's flying on here. And secondly, he does have Tempest. So if your opponent does go for Morathi or a Malekith flying, that's going to be a big issue for them because, yeah, Morathi's a pretty scary duelist. And honestly, without Tempest, she probably would be able to beat ELTHARION the Grim. But with Tempest doing a massive amount of DPS, unlocking her down, it really does kind of, simplify things. Now, we do have Eltharion Reavers. Another thing that the High Elves can do or have an advantage against the Dark Elves in is with their skirmish cav. Repeater crossbows as a unit overall are probably better in more matchups, but in head-to-head, Reaver archers have better range, better combat stats. They can fire while retreating, so basically you can usually outvalue those type of units using your Reaver archers there. As far as the rest of the army goes, we are going to be going for kind of a bolt thrower build, so we have triple eagle claw bolt thrower to try and outrange and take out scourge runners, shoot enemy lords, and also Narnia lines. So if there are any Dark Elf infantry, whether it be Bleak Swords or Dread Spears or Hargoneth Executioners or anything elite, the Narnia lines do pack a serious AP punch. They got 50 weapon strength for Aslan, bonus for infantry of 10, stack them with some rangers, and you got some good stopping power for sure. So two of these guys, I don't think that the Narnia lines are super competitive in this matchup, but nonetheless, I don't think they're terrible either. Now, at the back, we do have Silverhelms. There's going to be 3 in total. Silverhelms are just really good. They do very well against infantry, and I find that they actually trade pretty damn well with the Cold One Knights if they do get the proper charge on them. So for my opponent's army, Falcon here, going to be rocking the Bleak Swords and the Witch Elves here in the front. In the secondary line, Dark Shards. I always love to see Dark Shards. It really reminds me of like the golden days of Warhammer 2. Well, I guess it's Warhammer 2 has always been fun, but basically the early days when it first came out, Dark Shards were very, very common in multiplayer. Seeing these like very boxy Dark Elf formations with Bleak Swords and Dread Spears and Witch Elves moving up with Dark Shards before any of the DLC units like Scourge Runners were around. We got Morathi as well with the Soul Stealer combo, of course, and Dark Riders and double Scourge Runner. And that's going to be it. Let's have some fun, see how this unfolds. Now, here in the front, skirmish phase going very, very well, as the Reavers are ripping some huge shots here into these Witch Elves. And these bare naked ladies are really not having a good time, really taking quite a pounding there from that archer fire, and they are going to be pulling back. Witch Elves are very, very fast. They have 44 speed, so they can certainly maneuver away from these archers at a relatively efficient pace. Bolt throwers, in the meantime, are just kind of shooting in. I believe we're going after these Scourge Runners, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we are going after the Scourge Runners. No huge damage yet. And Morathi looks like she wants to tickle the pickle of some of these Silverhelms over here, perhaps going to be engaging, which honestly wouldn't be bad. She would lower their melee attack to a very low amount. She has Soul Stealer if she needs to. Morathi is a really, really powerful character. Now, the Bolt Throwers are finally starting to hit home. We are able to hit the Scourge Runners, taking out one model here, and the Witch Elves are very, very damaged. And the Silverhelms, since we have been able to kind of push back some of these threats, potentially can charge in the front. Now, Tempest going down to Morathi. There's nowhere for her to land nearby, so she is going to be taking some big damage here. And I figured, hey, let's go and let's get a little bit aggressive. Dark Shards are underneath, but while Tempest is active, see if we can get some big burst damage. This was a very, very risky play, but you can see immediately ELTHARION does have a big charge bonus, and he's able to get in there and do some huge damage against Morathi. Absolute brutality. However, Morathi giving it back with Deadly Onslaught, but we do get the Terror out, and Morathi is going to be broken back. So ELTHARION the Grim doing his job. She's just shaken though, so as soon as the Terror Route does wear off, Morathi should be able to come back and get some good, efficient engagements, or, at least run away. Because I took a lot of damage too, and she has Soul Stealers, I don't. It all gets a little bit scary. Now back on this side of the battlefield, we do have the Narnia Lines. So the Narnia Lines and the Rangers have moved in. Oh my god, the War Lines are such a freaking cool unit. Look at them just taking these guys out. And also the Rangers, not terrible against Witch Elves. Obviously in a vacuum, Witch Elves would win, but having the Lions here for that huge punch and just that stopping power really is making a pretty big difference. And the Lions here, I was really surprised. Like, I sent them into Bleak Swords just by themselves. These are, of course, the Rahagra's pride. They're no mere War Lines. They are able to really break through those Bleak Swords super quick. That bonus for his infantry and 50 weapon strength, pretty solid charge bonus, really paying huge dues. Now, we do kind of trade lords. Morathi gets broken, but in the end, like, she's going to probably come back and has Soul Stealers. Eltharion the Grim also takes a huge beating from the Dark Shards in the meantime, but some of our other range pieces, the Reavers and all those different units, are able to get in here and cause some problems. Here you can see that the Scourge Runner Chariots are being taken offline, so a lot of the trades are going well. More importantly, we've been able to kind of disconjoint the army a little bit, and that has allowed the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers to be shooting this entire game, which has been very, very valuable. So Lion's really doing some great work, though, but Morathi is back. She's cackling in the trees over there, certainly having a good old jolly time at my expense. And Eltharion the Grim is back. Now, I have something Morathi doesn't, though. She's got Soul Stealer, and you can see probably thinking about using it here, but I do have the Tempest indeed, so the Tempest will be quite strong here at locking down Morathi. Over here in the front, the Dark Elf Infantry very much crumped and getting away from these angry lions, so they're bringing them straight to the wardrobe here. Going to be hunting them down. And if we look really, what does the Dark Elf army have going for it? They got the Blackguard 69 models. Oh yeah, dude, knowing how to live. We do also have some elite infantry back here, which are now going to be in a situation where they're getting skirmished and just focused down. And Eltharion the Grim actually being pretty damn effective. He's been able to really shut down Morathi this entire game. Going in for the kill. Will he take out Malekith's mom? She's got it going on. We'll find out. You guys remember that song, Stacy's Mom? Anyways, Morathi here now being chased down by Eltharion the Grim. Looks like Soul Stealer going down, kind of keeping her stable, but that is going to be army losses, and that is going to be all she wrote, as the elite infantry kind of really got stuck in some awkward engagements in the backfield, and yeah, just couldn't really generate their value. But yeah, Eltharion was great that game. I'm pretty happy with it. 2200 value. The Tempests were really nice. Obviously, shutting down Morathi, making sure she gets Soul Stealers on blobs, things like that was very, very good. But I mean, you could do this build with Larry as well. The problem with, like, honestly, like, if with this type of a build, though, I felt like Eltharion was actually better than Larry. It feels very strange to say, but looking at this setup here, I don't really have anything that's worth Tsar of Avalorn, like worth the investment. And I'd rather have the combat prowess of Eltharion, because simply using Tempest on Morathi and attacking her with Ilario the Radiant, you're gonna lose that fight, even with Tempest, right? But Eltharion has, you know, some good combat prowess, so you can get in there and fight after the Tempest. But if you have anything like Fireborn or Phoenixes or anything elite that's worth healing, Phoenix Guard, you name it, Larry is always going to be better, and she's better in probably 80% of situations. But in this case, I felt like the High Elf Karl Franz was pretty good, man. He really looks like Franz there. And yeah, didn't do bad. Rangers, you know, one of them, I guess, didn't even fight. They were just kind of on vacation here. Silverhelm's obviously pretty solid. Skirmish Cav, you know, generally did okay. We're pretty healthy. And the Bolt Throwers were able to shut down the Scourge Runners. But the Narnia Lions, yeah, not too much value. But the thing is, they were super healthy. And we didn't even really get a chance to fight, you know, the elite infantry before the army losses kicked in. So they didn't have a chance to really, you know, take these bad boys down. But well played, Falcon. Certainly a fun game, and this will certainly be a 2-for-1 as well. So we'll see you guys in another replay in just a moment. I thought it was a pretty cool showcase of Eltharion the Grim, and yeah, that's it. Well played. We'll see you guys in the next one. All right, my friends, and now we're back with the second game, which is going to be the High Elves led by Tyrion facing off against the Bony Boys, the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by Skeletor, aka Ark in the Black and King of the Dead. Now, as far as Tyrion goes in this matchup, I don't think he's the best pick, but I do think Tyrion is actually pretty decent. For one, he's actually a really, really powerful duelist, right? Tyrion's got 83 melee attack, 72 melee defense, 470 weapon strength, and a balls deep charge bonus of 90. This bad boy can really get in there and fight characters like Cetra, if they're on a chariot, or a Sphinx. He can fight Necrosphinxes. He can really hunt down Ark in the Black, you know, pretty efficiently, of course, if your opponent does lapse on their micro. And more importantly, if they do have a Tomb Guard and elite troops, Sunfang is really powerful, because one of Tyrion's big weaknesses is his low mass. Oftentimes his horse can get trapped in a bunch of skeletons, so you do have Sunfang as kind of an escape mechanism here. So we got that. Front line is going to be basic spearmen, so 1, 2, 3. Up in the sky we do have an Arcane Phoenix, a Mage of Fire, and triple Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Now Bolt Throwers are pretty good against a number of targets on the Tomb King's roster. Their artillery, their caskets, Necropolis Knights, constructs. I really do think having a core of at least like 2 Bolt Throwers is pretty good. 3 is a little bit pushing it. It's a pretty heavy investment into that game, but I found that sometimes if I go 2 and they bring like triple Ushopti Grapo on a medium-sized map with Spirit Leech, they can really snipe my Bolt Throwers out and I just kind of get trash canned. So a little bit of trauma there, but you know, has forced me to go down the triple route over and over, but I do like it. Now we got Spearmen on the flanks, Silverhelms as well, pretty good against Nehekar Horsemen and whatnot, Reavers, Spearmen, Tyrion, Firecaster, and it looks like it is going to be the dreaded Arcane Phoenix. So we do have double rebirth here. Both Tyrion as well as the Arcane Phoenix do have the ability to come back to life upon the brink of death and can really be quite disruptive for sure. Now for King of the Dead's army, Skeleton Horseman backed up by a couple sneaky Snake Knights. He does also have the Chariot, and up in the front, Ark in the Black, Tomb Prince, all sorts of good stuff. No casket, but it is going to be Screaming Meme Catapult here in the backfield. Now, Tyrion's going to be getting a little ballsy here. Going in, thinking about, maybe charging in there, trying to 2v1 those bad boys. Because, I do want Tyrion. I don't want him taking damage, but if my opponent is going to be sinking damage somewhere, you do want it to be on Tyrion. What you do not want to happen is have Tyrion basically be full health at the end of the game with the rest of your army dying, and then you just suffer army losses, right? So right here, pretty good engagement for me. We get the Silver Helms in. They're able to take down the Skeleton Horsemen almost instantly. In the meantime, the Necropolis Knights are being pounded by the Bolt Thrower fire, and it's a pretty good trade over here. I would say this is a big win. But on the other side, it's a little bit scary. The Silver Helms do get jumped by the Sneaky Snake Knights as well as the Skeleton Horsemen. A little bit of an overextension on my part is going to be a much better engagement here for King of the Dead. However, I do have Spearmen. Spearmen can move in, get some nice poke and strokes here, and hopefully do some work. And yeah, you can see Necropolis Knights, though, with their armor really enduring quite well. But over here, Silverhelm's able to completely win that fight. Now in the front, we do have a bit of a messy affair. Spearmen have kind of taken the initial brunt of the charge here. Ark in the Black dropping a Skeleton Summon, actually, probably to try and prevent the Spearmen from getting into this fight here. But the Big Pigeon, the Arcane Phoenix, wasn't quite able to get to Arkin. The bodyguard was in the way. But the bird is able to get some decent HP damage on the Tomb Prince, and thankfully, unlike other undead factions, Tomb Kings don't really have substantial methods of healing big amounts of damage. They do have Realm of Souls, of course, but it's not like something where there's just a raw card Invocation of Nehek just doing tons of damage, right? In the backfield, some Skeleton Horsemen did get in here. Burning Head going down in the front line. Pretty juicy Burning Head for sure. The Spearmen kind of held them in place, and the Burning Head also did tickle the pickle of the edge of these Tomb Guard here, although not really doing too much damage. But, anytime you can wear down Tomb Guard, a unit that will vastly outclass basic Spearmen, you're going to be doing well. Tyrion in the backfield going to be intercepting the Necropolis Knights. Hopefully he will be able to drag down a couple models here. You can see on impact Tyrion really packing quite a bit of an AP punch. There was a time, right, when Tyrion didn't have good AP values. I remember so many characters, that's like the classic meme. You know how when, it shows the guy slapping the water tank with the tape and it has the solution? That's like Creative Assembly's balancing for crappy Duelist Lords. It's like, let's slap some armor piercing on that bad boy and make him good. That's been a solution for quite some time, but Fate and Riposte active. You can see the Silver Helms really packing some good punch. Necropolis Knights getting worn down there. And looking around the battlefield, it's pretty even here. Able to take out these elite cav units. Over here, these other Necropolis Knights are a little bit beat up as well. However, a big however, though many things look pretty good here, Bounce Power may be even a little bit in my favor. The Bolt Throwers are about to be compromised. I have 3 Bolt Throwers which have been shooting quite happily, cackling, enjoying themselves, doing all that sort of good stuff. But now there's Chariots on top of these ones. There's Tomb Guard busting through the front line. It's going to be a very different dynamic as this battle does progress. So trying to buy some time for my Bolt Throwers, I send in the Arcane Phoenix, and arguably I should have left it to fight. It was getting some really good damage in there and working on those Necropolis Knights, but now it's going to have to push into the back of these units, and the damage is going to be going on to my Bolt Throwers instead of the Arcane Phoenix. The Arcane Phoenix probably could have tanked that and does have the Rebirth ability, so I think that was a slight mistake. But still, we have plenty of good engagements here. So Tyrion's kind of piled in. Spirit Leech going down on Tyrion, totally fine with that. You want him to get a little bit lower, and Tyrion and the boys are certainly getting some good wallop in here on these Skeleton Chariots and these Necropolis Knights, and really aggressively hunting his characters right now, because I'm starting to feel the pressure. Now my Bolt Throwers are all offline. I'm kind of like, oh god, this is getting a little bit stressful, so let's get the cheesy, dreaded High Elf snipe going on. And if you guys are wondering if High Elves are a faction that's kind of centered around gooning, yes they are. I would say High Elves overall, with their single entities, are probably one of the best gooning factions in the game, if you really bring the proper builds. Now here, the Arcane Phoenix is going to be pulling back. I saw the Ushapti summon, I was like, screw this shit, I'm out. So the Arcane Phoenix is going to be getting away. Hopefully we can minimize the effectiveness of that Ushapti summon, and I believe we did have some cavalry going back here after the Screaming Skull catapults. I can't quite remember, but yeah, Bolt Throwers are all offline. I do have my Mage of Fire. Mage of Fire is in okay shape. I believe we have enough Winds of Magic for a couple Fireballs and or some Burning Heads. Yeah, it looks like we have Fireball and Burning Head as far as our kit, so there's going to be a Burning Head going down here. So we're like, sacrifice the Spearman! It goes through the Tomb Guard. I actually didn't really see my own Spearman there. And, it did okay damage, but King actually did a really good job rotating out of the way there to make sure it really didn't, hit his Tomb Guard right in the face. So Bounce Power is looking pretty grim here. I'm getting a little bit desperate. In the backfield, we do have these Silver Helms going, hoping he wouldn't notice. So Silver Helms are charging down here, going after the Screaming Skull catapult, but the Skeleton Spearman shall move up and intercept. We do also get the Vortex ability onto the Tomb Guard right there, and did do some okay damage. Probably did about 400 or 500 damage, but King is able to get his jaws here onto the Mage of Fire. Mage of Fire is on its last legs, most likely. Yeah, you can see negative 43 leadership, but the Ushapti summon is about to disappear. Now, one thing I do have going for me is I do have Tyrion. I have the bird, and both of them have their rebirths in the back pocket. So for example, if I can wait out the Ushapti summon, get a really good Sunfang, if Tyrion can get in there and goon out the Tomb Prince and or Ark in the Black, I certainly have some pretty good chances of winning this game. So Necropolis Knights moving up the hill, going after Tyrion as well as the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. Ushapti's doing the same thing, and yeah, you can see Spirit Leech is Yeah, tickling away at Tyrion, but this is the whole thing, right? Like I was talking about in the early game, you got to be careful for army losses, and unfortunately my caster is shattered, which really hurt, considering that King still has a ton of infantry left. You know, he's got King Nukesh's Scorpion Legion, he's got Tomb Guard, he's got a lot of troops left, and Sun Fang can certainly do some work, but I don't know if it can do that much work. It's a very, very tall order, to say the least. We do also have a couple of bolt thrower crews back. We have 7 here and 7 here, so maybe if like the battle does get pulled away from this area, we can do some work. Hard to say. But Necropolis Knights are out for blood, looking to surf on over here. This Chariots, of course, probably doing some big damage this game. King has been doing some really good work with his Chariots. These things must be up over 1,000 value so far. Oh my god, is that 2 chevrons? Yeah, 1,500 value. That is huge, and more to be gained, right? There's still some infantry they can kind of chew at and really, really cause some serious problems. So a little bit of fast forwarding here because it's basically just jockeying for position. I'm trying to go after his elite knights, which does take away his mass, but that was really painful. The game's over, he won it, and I didn't get a rebirth on either of those units. So it really shows that I did not play well with them. So other aspects of the game went okay. Silver Helms, Bolt Throwers, I think the target priority was good, but I should have been more aggressive with these characters, forcing the engagements, forcing the rebirths, which then means that it would take pressure off my other assets. That was a big kind of a, not mistake per se overall, but a little bit of poor play with those. But it's okay. I'm still learning High Elves, and it was really fun using Tyrion for sure. 600, 915. Bolt Throwers did okay. Kind of got shut down a little bit early, and yeah, nothing in the army did terribly well. And for King, wow, 3,000 value on this bad boy. How did he do that? Was that just like Spirit Leeches? Damn, dude. I didn't even see him do that much. I guess it was just the Spirit Leeches. Yeah, like the Tomb Guard did like nothing. Necropolis Knights came nowhere close to paying for themselves. 1,600. Yeah, what the hell? How did Arkan do so much damage? 3,000 and 1,500. Yeah, that like... Arkan and this Chariot took out like a third of my army by themselves. Damn, man. Yeah, the rebirths were really needed. Well played to King. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2-for-1. Pretty cool to see some high elf action, for sure. I'm trying to get back on the wagon. And, of course, we do have Rakarth the Beastmaster coming soon, so I'll be doing my best to get some replays once I get out of this dreaded hotel room. And we'll be back. Thanks again for joining, guys, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks for supporting, and stay safe.